Hey everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Fear. I'm your host Zishan, and tonight we're plunging into a haunting tale that might keep you up long after the lights go out. Join me as we follow the harrowing journey of a young woman named Ava, who checks into a mysterious hotel seeking solitude, only to find herself trapped in a nightmare she could never have imagined. With eerie whispers in the walls, ghostly warnings, and a dark secret buried in the hotel's past, this story will leave you questioning what's real and what's lurking just out of sight. So grab your blankets, dim the lights, and prepare for a chilling dive into the haunted hotel. Let's get in. Ava had been planning her solo vacation for months. Life in the city had become a constant blur of noise, work stress, and endless responsibilities. She needed a break, somewhere quiet, far away from the world. She stumbled upon the Blackstone Hotel, an old but charming boutique inn nestled in the countryside. It had great reviews about its serene environment and quaint Victorian-era architecture. Oddly enough, the hotel had no website or photos online, but that only made Ava more intrigued. The promise of isolation was too good to pass up. As she drove down the winding roads through dense forests, a heavy fog began to roll in, casting an eerie glow around her car headlights. The hotel finally came into view, standing tall at the end of a gravel driveway. Its Gothic facade loomed over the landscape, with ivy crawling up the stone walls and windows blacked out by thick curtains. Ava's heart skipped a beat as a shiver ran down her spine, but she shook it off. It's just an old hotel, she told herself, nothing more. The receptionist at the front desk was an elderly woman with hollow eyes and a quiet demeanor. She handed Ava her room key, room 314, without saying much except for a cryptic warning. The walls are old here, dear. They've heard more than you'll ever know. Enjoy your stay. Ava chuckled nervously, but didn't think much of it. The atmosphere was strange, but she was here for peace after all. Ava's room was spacious with tall ceilings and antique furniture. The heavy burgundy curtains blocked out almost all light, and the bed, an ornate four-poster with velvet sheets, looked inviting after the long drive. After unpacking her things, she settled into bed with a book, trying to relax, but something felt off. The air was heavy, and there was an unsettling stillness to the room. As night fell, Ava started to hear things. Faint whispers that seemed to come from the walls and the distant sound of footsteps in the hallway. She opened the door and looked outside. Nothing. The hall was dark, and there were no other guests in sight. Probably just the old building settling, she thought. Yet as she lay back in bed, the footsteps grew louder. This time, they stopped right outside her door. A shadow passed beneath the doorframe, followed by silence. Ava's heart raced. She knew there was someone, or something, outside. But gathering her courage, she pulled open the door once more. The hallway was empty, but the chill in the air had deepened, and a faint smell of damp earth filled her nostrils. As she closed the door, she noticed something odd. A crack had formed in the corner of the ceiling, almost as if the walls were shifting. Unable to sleep, Ava turned off the lights and pulled the covers over her head. In the darkness, the whispers returned, closer this time. They were no longer faint, but clear. A woman's voice, hissing from inside the room. Get out, before it's too late. The next morning, Ava woke up drained and uneasy. She brushed off the previous night's experience as an overactive imagination. Maybe I was just exhausted, she thought. Determined to enjoy her vacation, she spent the day exploring the nearby woods. But even under the bright sun, a feeling of dread lingered. It was as if something had followed her, watching her from the shadows between the trees. Returning to the hotel that evening, Ava was greeted by the same eerie stillness. As she walked past the front desk, the elderly receptionist didn't look up. Her head remained bowed, whispering softly to herself. Ava couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. That night, she decided to investigate. Armed with her phone flashlight, Ava began exploring the hotel's hallways. The building was a maze of darkened corridors and abandoned wings, much larger than she had imagined. As she wandered deeper, she noticed strange things. Old portraits of previous owners with their eyes scratched out, and rooms that seemed locked for decades. When she reached the third floor, the temperature plummeted, and the whispers returned. This time louder, more insistent. The same woman's voice, but now it was pleading. "Please, leave, before it wakes." Suddenly, Ava's phone flickered and died. She was plunged into darkness. From down the hallway, she heard the footsteps again, slow, deliberate, coming towards her. Her breath quickened. She turned to run, but found herself facing a door she hadn't noticed before, slightly ajar, with the number 314 etched into the wood. Her own room. Panic surged through her as she pushed the door open, but instead of her room, she found a dilapidated, forgotten space. The wallpaper was peeling, furniture covered in dust and decay. In the middle of the room, a figure stood, a woman in tattered, old-fashioned clothing, her back turned. Ava froze. The woman's head jerked slightly to the side, as though sensing her presence. Slowly, the woman turned around, revealing a gaunt, hollow-eyed face. Her voice, now a raspy croak, whispered again, "You shouldn't have come." Ava's scream echoed through the empty halls, but no one came. She fled back to the front desk, heart pounding, and demanded to leave. The elderly receptionist finally looked up, her eyes filled with sorrow. "You saw her, didn't you?" she asked softly. The woman explained that the hotel was built on cursed ground. Decades ago, a woman named Eliza had been a guest in room 314. She had arrived, much like Ava, seeking solitude, but she was never seen again. At least not alive. Her disappearance had sparked rumors of ghostly sightings, and soon after, the hotel became a haven for lost souls trapped between life and death. "She warns every guest, but most ignore her," the receptionist said. "The ones who leave, they survive. The others, well, you've seen the rooms that remain locked." Ava's blood ran cold. She rushed back to her room, packed her things in a frenzy, and bolted for the door. As she drove away, the hotel disappeared into the fog behind her, leaving her with a lingering question. How many more like her had been lured there, only to vanish into the cursed halls of the Blackstone Hotel? As Ava reached the outskirts of town, her phone buzzed to life again. A single notification. "Thank you for staying at the Blackstone Hotel. Come back soon." Her heart stopped. The words on the screen flickered briefly, and just before they disappeared, the last line changed. "Next time, you won't escape. Thanks for tuning in to Beyond the Fear. If Ava's terrifying ordeal has left you looking over your shoulder, you're not alone. There's something about haunted hotels that creeps into your mind and lingers. But remember, sometimes the things that go bump in the night aren't just in your head. If you enjoyed tonight's story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more bone-chilling tales, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever had an experience like this, or do you dare stay in a place with a haunted history? Until next time, keep your lights on and stay beyond the fear. Sleep tight, if you can.